It feels like I've been talking to myself again.
There's always something that doesn't go right on a Monday night. There's always something. But look, welcome everyone. It's another Monday night, and Monday nights I don't think would ever be the same for me and Chris or for you guys without a little rant show. So welcome everybody. We are back, and you know, it's been a little bit more of a positive week. We didn't lose. We picked up a point, but as always, there's a lot of talking points with regards to Saturday's game, and no doubt we're going to get into the crux of it. But look, Chris, before we go anywhere, and I know we've got a caller chomping at the bit, ready to go on. I think this is going to be a good one. But I just wanted to make this point. This comment came up quite early on, before we started the show. It's from Bede. We've only won 7 matches in since December. Jesus Christ. Let me read it again.
That's unreal, isn't it?
7 matches since December, which gives Bruce a 19% win ratio. What are our thoughts on this? So, Chris, I'm going to start with you, my man. What are your thoughts on the fact that we've only won 7 Premier League football matches since December 2020?
What a stat that is. B-Day or Bede. What a fantastic stat that is. A worrying stat, but albeit I would never, if somebody said to me how many games we've won since last December, I would never go low ball as 7. I'd at least think it was about 15. That's wow. That's terrible, isn't it? I mean, you know what? I was a bit. I was thinking to myself, pre-show, I was like, right, don't come across too positive, Chris, because I know some people don't like that. I mean, I try and keep the positivity up, as you know, Pete. And as I say, mate, I remember the middle of last season, and I was low. Do you know what I mean? I was watching games, and I was low. I mean, we'll touch on that later on in terms of the performance against Watford. And obviously, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, Pete, as well, because you were there, weren't you? But yeah, that's really worrying, and it doesn't hide from the fact that we all know Steve Bruce is really on borrowed time, and he's very lucky to still be in a job. I think that's something as a fan base we can all agree on. But yeah, that's I'll be honest, it's gobsmacked me a little bit. Like, how that is undefendable, isn't it? You can't defend that. And I'd love that tweet to go out, or make it broader, and just so pundits could see it, opposing managers could see it, ex-pros could see it. All these people who defend Bruce and say how fantastic he is and how wonderful job he's doing, because that is undefendable.
It really is. I think that's the key word. It's undefendable. How a Premier League manager at the elite level of football in this country can win seven matches in near on 10 months, and still be in a job.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It baffles me. It's absolutely baffles me. But like some of the pundits might say, and Brian H says this perfectly well, it's a work in progress.
It's been a work. That's what Steve Bruce keeps saying as well. Oh, we're getting there. We're learning our lessons and stuff like that. And you just think, how long is it going to take?
Yeah.
Hey, we've gone forward at the back though, Pete. I hate to be positive again, but
I'll put it on again. Work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
The thing about it is, look, we're laughing. Yeah. If we didn't laugh, we'd be crying, mate.
Yeah, no, exactly. You've got to smile, haven't you? Because otherwise, as you say, you cry.
It's a dire situation, and it's interesting you say that he's on borrowed time, but we've had some comments today from our favourite journalist, or not so favourite journalist, Mr. Edwards, saying that it doesn't look like he's at all in jeopardy of losing his job. They were the comments he made today. So, that kind of throws talk of Wolves being potentially his last game if he doesn't get a win into serious doubt. It looks like his position is secure, certainly from what that particular journalist is saying. And we know that particular journalist is very, very close to the camp of Steve Bruce. So,
you know what, Pete? You can take that in two ways, though. You can take that in two ways. It's either one, is job safe because the things are rumbling on in the background. I won't say the T word. Things are rumbling on in the background, so why would they change anything at this late stage? Or two, let's be honest, if he was under pressure, one, would they tell Bruce that? Or two, would Bruce be telling the media that? I don't think he would. I think he'd be keeping his mouth shut. And will the owners, the owners are, renowned for terrible communication. So because they don't communicate with the fans, are they going to communicate with the manager? I don't think they would. I think if they got rid of him, I think they'd just come in, P45, bang, and then they'd have a new manager lined up.
No.
Or Graham Jones.
Or Graham Jones, you're right. And that is a distinct possibility. But, we take those comments from that particular journalist with a pinch of salt because we know he's a clown and he says things to purposely wind up the Newcastle United fan base. He's not a fan of the club. So it is what it is. However, I am not going to wait any longer. We have got a new guest that's ready to come on. We've heard some thoughts in the green room, myself and Chris, about what this particular guy thinks and what his feelings are of the club. I'm really excited to hear him speak. So our first guest of the evening, welcome to the show, Alan Thompson. How are you, Alan?
Welcome, Alan.
Yeah, brilliant, lads, brilliant. Brilliant to see you. Regarding that last comment of Peter was a great point. I'll turn around and use Bruce's own words, judges on results. Judge me on results. So he's got to go. Apparently he's a jolly lad, but he's got to go with them results. Is like I've said before on the show that basically his results prove that he's not up to the job. As much as we all want him to succeed, he blamed the Chronicle a couple of weeks ago about the negativity. The negativity stems from the results, lads. If he was lying fourth or fifth, like David Moyes with West Ham, and improving the team, basically out there for everybody, how many players has he improved since he's been here at the club in 2.5 years? So the expectation level at the club, and I do feel sorry for anybody under 30, 35 who've never seen what I've seen when I was their age, the Keegan era, because it must be soul destroying. And my thoughts for the club going forward, or the young fan base, will go elsewhere. I never, I see, not very often, but I do see Man City, Chelsea tops in the town. Never saw that before, never. And so because youngsters as a whole, as a fan base, get attracted to the top teams. When I was a young lad, you had Liverpool tops, because Liverpool were the number one team at the time. And then Man United, obviously. But getting back to Saturday's game, I do believe he's went to the back four, like other people have said, because he knows he's on borrowed time and he's going for it. Whether we'll win on Saturday against Wolves, I've got my doubts. Simply because we never seem to string two good games together. And the consistency is not there. So I'm actually more worried about Wolves than I was Watford. I was worried going into the game, but actually seeing the highlights, I didn't see the full game. I was really, really impressed, really, to be fair, apart from the finishing. You cannot deny. My thoughts on Joe Linton, Chris Pete, he is the worst player, or one of the top 3 worst players I've ever seen play for Newcastle United. And when people defend him, and by saying, oh, he had a good game, and they give him 7 in the Chronicle, actually, the Chronicle are defending Steve Bruce by playing him. He should be I would have him as a ball boy behind the goal, used as that, or somebody coming on to dish out the water, at half time, because the lad's trying, and it's not his fault he cost 40 million.
Yeah.
I would basically have the scout that basically picked him out. I would have him brought and put in the back page of the Chronicle and said that's a crime against the club, and have him sacked on the spot for signing that player. So as far as Joe Linton concerned, he'll never convince me there's a player there. And when Andy Carroll comes out with, comments like earlier last week that he's one of the best finishers at the club, I just have to laugh. Sure, Yobi was one of the best finishers in training. And look at what happened to him. We put up it with Shola for 9-10 years. Mind, he did have the club at heart. So I give him credit for that. I cannot knock him so much. Where do I start, lads? I mean, well, people, you know,
not started yet. I love it.
Literally,
I
could go on for hours, lads. I mean, my expectations as a kid was very low. But then I seen the light under Keegan and Sir John Hall and Freddie Shepherd, what the club could be under. And it's the only time we have had decent owners that wanted to win trophies. That's the key. Not if you win trophies, the money will follow. That's what the owners we've had in the past, in Mike Ashley, have got no interest in the fact of winning trophies. Because if you win cups, European Cups, dare I say it, even thinking about it, you know, people will think I'm off my head. But if you get into that realm, then the money will flow and you will make money out of it. The Saudi bid, I cannot see any reason why it's not been allowed, apart from that everybody has got a moral stance on it. I've seen it on the tablet where a few people, I wouldn't have Saudis, that they're murderers. But I'm sorry, there's a lot of owners in the Premier League that are very shady characters that have been allowed into the Premier League. And nobody says a word about them. And I'm sorry, I think it should have been done and dusted last May, June. The bid should have been, if not, said quite clearly in the open, XYZ. And I don't think any Newcastle fan would have batted an eyelid if it had been turned down in February and March last year. I think majority of fans, it's another field bid by Ashley. But because they have not given out one decent reason why it's been failed, I think everybody is just scratching their head. And that's what's depressing, I think, a lot of fans, why they don't believe the takeover is ever going to happen. The Cat case in 2 days' time, I think actually will win it. But then the delay of protest by the Premier League will come into play. And I think we'll be waiting months. And so will it ever happen? I've got my grave doubts now. If they win it on Wednesday, there's a chance. There is a chance. And you've got to have hope all the time. Really do. The playing side on Saturday, I was happy with the performance, like I say. And isn't it coincidence, lads, that Longstaff has had a series of games, and I'm not sure, was Hayden playing on Saturday, lads? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he
but
was.
If he was playing,
yeah, he was.
Isn't it true? His best form was with Hayden in the back, defending the back four, and he was the one that was going forward more. And if you give him a chance, that is the perfect dovetail partner with Willock, with energy in midfield. That is the perfect midfield for me. For what we've got now. And I think he'll only get better with the confidence, because I mean he has had a poor 18 months. There's no getting away from it. But he's coming out of it and he's playing better. And I just think it's coincidence that now he's getting a good set of games. He's playing better. And the fans have got to realise that he's a local lad and he's maybe something's trying too hard, you know. But with that goal, I think I've got a lot of confidence he could come good. And I'm not surprised Everton are sniffing around. You know, he might not get a game for them regular because they may have better players at their team, which is probably right. But he'd be a good player for us, and I want him kept at the club if we can keep him on a deal. As far as like basically, like I say, the run that we're on is frightening because of the fact that apart from Man United, we really seriously haven't played a top team. And I don't know about you, Chris and Pete, but if you've seen we're running, never mind Christmas, the running is horrendous.
Yeah, no, it is.
It is absolutely. So if we haven't got 30 to 35 points by then, I think we're in big trouble this year. I hope I'm wrong. Sometimes you pull your best results out against the big teams and the pressure's on them to win, you know. But when you've got the likes of Man City, Liverpool and Leicester and teams like that in the last 5 games, you know, they're going for the title and they're going for Champions League and they're not going to let up. So, you know, could it be Burnley last day of the season, relegation battle? Who knows? But the expectation level, I mean, I've still got the passion to win trophies, and that'll never die. I don't think anybody should settle for second best. And I'm not into this. Anybody wants, Ashley out at any cost, and we get somebody else in. It's got to be the right consortium. And to me, this is the right consortium with the power and money behind them. It's no good having another clone of Mike Ashley coming in with, say, a couple of billion, which I think the Premier League want. And look at the Burnley situation. That takeover is an absolute disgrace. Absolute. It's made the Burnley Football Club worse than before. And the Premier League have allowed that to happen. I think, anyway, personally, I don't know what Burnley fans think of it, but if you're leveraging your takeover, it's a really bad way of working. And the Premier League have allowed it. And I think surely they should know the investment and, the catalyst. I mean, Sunderland fans wouldn't think of it. I mean, 18 months ago, they were cringing on the podcast I saw when this bid first came out. But I thought to myself, yes, you might not think it would help your club, but I think it would help the whole area, because then you find another consortium thinks, hold on, there's another big club there. I can take that on and be just as good. And I know they've got new owners, so, I'm not going to talk about the wicked or the damned as much tonight, because, they are arch enemies. But they have got a loyal and fantastic fan base that's no getting away, just like we are.
Yeah.
But, I just think on our takeover, I'm scratching my head why they've, because if it does fail the cat case on Wednesday, seriously, Pete, Chris, where do we go from here?
Where do we go?
As a club in 5 years' time, because I've never laughed since, I was laughing when Sunderland got relegated to the Championship, and I was laughing when they got in Division 1. But now I haven't laughed since, because I thought since Rafa left, I could see us being in exactly the same situation under this ownership. No doubt about it. Because people are calling around me at the West Ham game, so calling for Bruce's head. That won't change a thing. Seriously. Anybody out there that thinks Bruce will go, I'm not actually in that camp, Pete, Chris, even though if somebody said to me, yes, we're going to get Eddie Howe, or we're going to get a manager better, then I would say, yes, get rid of him tomorrow. But we know that won't happen.
Alan, you're in exactly the same camp as me. I've been saying this for weeks, and I think some people thought that I came across as a bit of a Bruce apologist, and it absolutely wasn't that. But it's like singing for something or shouting for something that just isn't going to happen. And you just kind of think, not only does it add to the frustration, but also I feel like it takes the emphasis off the team. And the team, we need to get behind the team. We all want Bruce out. I want Bruce out now. If someone says, "Oh, do you want to get rid of Bruce?" Of course it was. And I've said, I'd take anybody. But ultimately, he's not really the problem. Albeit I know he is, but what I'm saying is he's not the main problem is Mike Ashley, and we've known that for 14, coming on 15 years. We've known that, and the sooner Ashley goes, then Bruce will go, and then it'll all follow like a domino effect.
I mean, my worry, Pete, is Chris, is simply the squad is aging, and within our eyes, we've got a lot of players 29, 30. Who's going to do that overhaul? Ashley's just washed his hands of the club. He sold it. I put a comment on the show 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's like it's like a shop that's been sold, and you're taking the goods off the shelves, and you're not replacing the stock. And this is what's happening. The players are getting going. Henry Savard, Carroll, all of them, but you're not replacing them. So what you're left with is old stock. And a lot of the defenders are 30 plus, and they've been good pros for it. Richie, I admire 100% player, but seriously, is not what the quality we need now. If you want to get above 10th place, this squad will never get you there. It's proven. They've done it for 5 years, 4 years.
I think it's a great point, and I think we'll sort of like end the rant there, because I think you've made some really fantastic points, and I'd like sort of Chris to talk about one or two of them as well. But just on the point that you've made, first and foremost, I'll just say that you're absolutely right about the squad. and I think me and Chris have talked about it, numerous times at the back end of last season about some of the players in the squad. For me, it's always been this situation with the club under Mike Ashley, in that we don't always strengthen the areas that we need to. We've been crying out for attacking players, attacking midfielders or a striker for a long time now, for years. We've got the odd one or two on loan, never really had them on a permanent basis. We got Callum Wilson and they thought, right, that's it now. Let's build on that. And he hasn't. And then what's happened is all the years that we've been waiting for a striker, these defenders have then got older. And we're at the point now where we've got a number of defenders that are all in their 30s, or we've got players that are not playing at the level and they're starting to kind of wind down a little bit. And we're in a position where we haven't strengthened that area. We've got Clark, you've got Fernandez, that are all sort of over 30. We had Lejeune who have moved on. We've got those players, and Charles is 28, 29 now. These players are ticking on, and at some point you have to move this squad over. You have to tick it over. You have to move certain players on. For all in which we love him, someone like Matt Ritchie in a properly fully functioning club would have been moved on, as would a number of other players. A lot sooner. Dwight Gale would have been gone a long time ago. John Joe Shelby being another one. We don't transition these players off. We just keep them. Why? Because Lee Charnley and Mike Ashley don't want to pay the money to buy a new player. They would rather just continue to pay these guys on an extra 5K a week, right, for another few years of their contract, and go out and spend 5, 10, 15, 20 million on replacing them. That's the problem. And that is the problem. And it will continue to be that under Mike Ashley. Nothing's going to change. But, there was a number of points there, whether we've talked about the takeover, whether we talked about the performance on the season, talked about the game on Saturday. You've talked also about, worries about this team. Chris, what are your thoughts about everything that sort of Alan's said? I mean, I know we could probably talk for ages on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm going to touch on a couple of them, but Alan, absolutely fantastic, mate. You've done really well tonight. You've done the fan base proud, because all the points you've raised have been really important, and I think they're really valid. Some of the points. I mean, the big ones for me. You mentioned about being worried about Wolves on the weekends. Now, prior to the Watford game, I think me and you were discussing it, weren't we, Pete? And we were saying, we'd hope to get 4 points from this, and I thought that we could probably get a point against Watford, and then I'd be looking to get 3 points against Wolves. Now, typical Newcastle, Wolves really struggling, can't get a win from anywhere, and then they go and win at the weekend. So Val Jimenez breaks his duck. So that wasn't great to see. So I am a little bit more skeptical about that now, but I'm still hopeful, especially given the performance against Watford, that we can still get something. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I can absolutely see why you're thinking that perhaps we won't be able to do that. In terms of Joe Linton, I've been very much like yourself, Alan, in the I'm failing really to see a player in there. I was talking to my friend about him a few weeks ago, who's a Liverpool fan, and I was just saying to him, the problem with Joe Linton is he hasn't got that characteristic or that quality where you go, oh, he's not very good at this, but he's great at that. And that's the problem with Joe. He's kind of all right at most things, but awful at some. There's no real skill or no real quality where you go, he's great at that, he's fantastic at that. He hasn't really got that, and that's the problem that we have with him. I mean, at the weekend, and even the week before against Man United, I didn't think they were the worst games he's ever had. He's definitely improving, but it's like we were talking about pre-show, Alan. I think our bar's that low that we go, oh, he's great, he's fantastic, and really, if you compare him to most other wingers in the Premier League, no one's going to say, oh, you can have him, we'll have Joe Linton. It won't happen. But I do think that performances have improved based on, the levels that Joe Linton's at. Whether that's good enough long term, probably not. And if we got new owners, I think Joe would probably want to first off the door. No disrespect to him. But, unfortunately, I don't think he's the quality that we need in order, like you say, to push into that top 10, top 8 bracket. Other things, in delays in the CAT. So you were mentioning about having, the potential delays in the CAT. We may get the decision, but there'll be delays. Somebody put it in the comments. I think it was Rolando, and I'm the same as him. I'm hoping on things that I've read that apparently it's not going to be very easy to delay, and they're going to have a very good reason in order to delay. Now I'm hoping that that's going to get push back, and they're not gonna. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Pete. They haven't got a good reason to appeal if they lose on Wednesday, and that's the thing. If they haven't got a good reason, you'd be hoping that they come to a decision and say, right, the court case is going to be on this date, and then that's when the pressure's on, and that's when we're going to see, the cojones of the Premier League. Are they just going to back off?
I mean, at that point, Chris, Pete, why don't the Premier League say we're against this takeover?
Yeah.
They don't want to lose face. They don't want to lose face because they want to keep using the line that they're trying to do right by their member club. They want to keep pushing that line that they're actually looking out for their Premier League club, because you know what? That's the only line they've got. Actually, there's no other reason why this deal shouldn't go through. They are in a position, right, where they have an owner that isn't going to be putting money against the club, that's going to be coming in here and revamping the club, making the club better. They know this club's a shell of its former self. They know that Mike Ashley's not putting any money into his club. They can see it on a week-to-week basis. Hell, even their biggest sponsors in terms of the TV in this country, Sky Sports, they've got their biggest pundits, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, saying exactly the same. They're coming to the stadium, and it's half the type of stadium it used to be in terms of the amount of fans that go in, the atmosphere, the way it looks, the fact that it's unkept. They've got people on Sky Sports who are their biggest promoters, their biggest sponsors, that are even saying this. So they know this. The reason being is because BN Sports, their biggest payers in terms of financial backers, are saying, we don't want this deal to go through. Also, you've got 4 out of the top 6 that are saying, we don't want this deal to go through. And they are stopping that from happening. And they are getting pressure because they're not the big boys. Let's be clear about this. The Premier League are not the big boys. It's the top 6 that are the big boys. It's BN Sports that are the big boys because they're the big backers. The Premier League are the weasels in this. They're the ones that are getting bullied and pushed around. They're the ones that are being told what to do and when to do it. And they're just going, yes, sir, yes, sir. They're the ones, that's exactly what they're doing right now. So they are going to push that line that they're doing right by us. But we know, and we've known for 18 months, that is not the case. And it's as simple as that. It's a great point, with regards to the cat case, just really quickly, in that again, our favourite journalist, or not so favourite journalist, has been very vocal today. Maybe he's just been fed a load of lines from the Premier League or something, in that he was saying that the cat case is not going to mean anything and that they'll just appeal it and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people have actually come back and said, well, actually, exactly the point that Rolando said, they're going to find it difficult to appeal it. Will it happen? Who knows? We'll wait and see on Wednesday. But there's a lot of people that have been digging quite deeply to find out bits of information about this. So that'll be a really, really interesting point to see how that falls come Wednesday.
I mean, I know I'm getting off the cat case, Peter, but I've just seen a comment there of one of the guests saying Joe Linton had a great performance against Watford. I'd just counteract and say, how many assists did he do? How many goals did he score? Fernandes of Man United, since he's come, was cost about 50 million. He scored 35, 40 goals, assisted about 20 in that time. That's the difference in quality. That's we're against. And people are saying he had a good game here. If running around, like I've said pre-recording, lads, I've been an athlete all my life. I've never wanted to be second, third, fourth. And, number one for me, I will not settle for being second, third. And people say mid-table. No, don't settle for second best. And this consortium is the best. It's a chance of a lifetime. And I want to see we'll win something before I'm not here anymore. Simple as that. So when people defend Joe Linton, then I'm sorry, the bar of standard that they have. I've seen Genoa, I've seen Batesy, I've seen the best players in Newcastle in my lifetime at the club, and Joe Linton is way below that. So,
you're absolutely more than
the cat case, but I could talk all night, but I know you've got other guests on. So
you'll have to come back on next week, Alan.
Yeah.
Get back on next week, mate.
I've got plenty to say, Chris, Pete, because obviously the Wolves game will be mega important. The chance of Steve Bruce getting sacked may happen, but to be honest with you, lads and everybody out there, the owner has got no intention of sacking him, in my opinion. He's just quite happy to finish 17th. He'd be quite happy if the season ended now and being 17th. He's got unless Bruce gets sick of the job and he says, I've had enough, he's here all the time until either the owner changes or he decides that I want to go out. So I'll leave it at that, lads. Thank you for having us on. These are legends, in my opinion. So
I appreciate that.
Well,
before you go, you 100% definitely deserve it.
Thank you.
No, absolute pleasure, mate.
Thanks very much for coming on, Alan.
Cheers.
No problem at all. Please come back again, Alan. Really appreciate that.
I will. Newcastle never let us down, Pete, Chris. Never let us down. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely, mate.
You take care, mate.
Cheers out.
Thank you, Alan. Take care, mate.
Brilliant call. We could dissect a lot of the points that he made, and we knew it was going to be a lot longer of a rant than normal. But Alan was so passionate about a lot of the things that he's been feeling that it's affected the club. And to be fair, we've seen him on the chat over the weeks, and he's very, very vocal within the chat on the show. He's very, very vocal in terms of his opinions of the club. He's made some great points tonight. Not everyone's going to agree with those points, and it's clear, with the Joe Linton point. Joe Linton is always sort of a split opinion in terms of the fan base. He
divides it, doesn't he? He divides it, Pete.
He does. I mean, just briefly before we bring on the next caller is that Joe Linton was there to do a job on Saturday, and being in the stands and watching, he was one guy that I watched quite closely. Willock was another, and it was very, very clear that they play him for one reason and one reason only, and it's because of his physical stature, not because of what he does on the ball, not because of the runs that he makes. It's the physical stature. So what you'll see, and I noticed this against Man United at Old Trafford, and you probably did as well, Chris, but they did it probably more effectively on Saturday, is that they will always play a goal kick or a ball out when they play it back to the keeper. They'll play a long diagonal ball, mostly to the left, and it's always to Joe Linton. It's probably just past the halfway line, and they'll play that long ball to him and they hope that it'll get a flick on and he'll create an attack, or if not, we'll go out for a throw-in. But what it does, it pushes the rest of the team up the pitch, and it gives us a breather up the pitch, and they put it on him because he's the only one that's big enough and physical enough to try and contest the ball. At Old Trafford, he didn't do it. He lost every ball. It was Pogba, or it was Maguire, or it was Varane, someone that was not winning the ball in the air. He didn't have any joy. On Saturday, he was getting that joy, and he was getting hold of the ball, and he was getting the knockdowns, and Maxim was getting on the end of him. He was linking the play, and and to be fair to him, he was creating little attacks here and there off the fact that they were playing that one ball. As an in-game player, he doesn't really give that much. He's more so a defensive player. So when they're not playing that long ball, all you really see from Joe Linton was running back, and he was basically the second man protecting Richie against Ismail Assar as that defensive player. Now, we've spent 40 million on him as a striker. So I can see why, the likes of Alan and other people are not happy about the fact that he's in the team, and they say that he's rubbish, because ultimately we did sign him as a striker, and he's not doing the job as a striker. So, he's doing the job for the team, but it's not what he was designed to be signed for.
No.
And I think that's where things get really, really split. And this is where things get really, really sort of messy in terms of fans' opinions. But just really quickly, would you agree with that, or is it?
No, I absolutely agree, Pete. I mean, Alan was right when he was talking about Joe Linton saying that it's not his fault he was signed for 40 million, because it absolutely isn't. But the trouble is, I think as fans, we've got quite low expectations of him. So when he does well, as in I'm not saying, well, wow, fantastic. I just mean as in he's actually put a shift in, and you can see like the purpose he's played in that game. Like that Watford game, that was one of his better games, and he played pretty good. Like when I think somebody mentioned he got a 6 or a 7 in the ratings, probably about right. Oh, he's nowhere near a 9 or a 10, but he's doing a job for the team. But as you rightly say, you know, when you pay 40 million and you break your records, over double break your records for 40 million, unless you're buying a centre back or a defensive midfielder to break play up, he's not doing what we've bought him to do. I mean, you look at St. Maximin, I think he was 16 million rising to 20 or something like that. And you look at the comparison. Well, there is no comparison, is there? And he's been brought in to do the job that he's doing, and he does it magnificently and fantastically well. And unfortunately for Joe, you could argue you could probably get an equivalent to Joe at the moment, possibly someone who's actually better at holding the ball up and bringing the ball down for a lot cheaper. But again, that's not really his fault. But we're stuck with him, aren't we?
You can argue as well that for 94 minutes of that game, Alan St. Maximin was doing the job that Joe Linton was bought for. Because for 94 minutes, the furthest man forward at any point in that game was Alan St. Maximin. He held up the ball. He stretched the defenders into the channel. He held it up well. He linked the play. He created 3 clear-cut chances for us to score, in which we scored none. And he then got the assist for sure.
Yeah, he was everywhere, wasn't he? He was everywhere.
He is a frontline striker. He was playing as a number 9 on Saturday.
And he actually did it really well, didn't he? Yeah. He carried the line well.
So the argument's there, and for those that don't really rate Joe Linton, it's a great point, because you know it's kind of like you can argue that that's what he was designed for. He was designed to do what Alan St. Maximin has been doing, and it's just like. Yeah, it's so frustrating, Joe Linton, and you want him. The thing that we can all agree on is that we all want him to do well. We all want him to come good. We all want him to do the business for Newcastle. But it's so hard when you just can't see it, and there's so many fans that just can't see any light at the end of that tunnel. But look,
before we go on, Pete, I was just going to say I've got a few questions. I put that first comment up. I mean, we'll keep it brief, but I just want to try and get through some of these questions. So, I've got a question there from Lee G. A side question for you boys: what do you think about the idea that if Ashley gets his takeover, he gets 300 million, and he also scores 200 million on top of that from the last 2 seasons in the Premier League?
If it gets a takeover done, I couldn't give a shit.
No, same. I was hoping you were going to say that. Great for Ashley. I mean, you could argue he probably deserves it in terms of he wants to sell this club. He's been dying to sell the club, and the Premier League have stopped him from doing that. I'm not trying to defend Ashley in any way, but if you want to get rid of something and someone's stopping you from doing that, it must be frustrating.
Well, the first part of it is all I'm interested in. What do you think about the idea if Ashley gets the takeover and gets the 300 million? That's all I care about.
Yeah, done.
As far as I'm concerned, the rest of that comment, I'm not even interested. As long as we get that takeover, I don't care how much Mike Ashley gets of it. I don't care how much money he gets in addition to anything else. Because you know what? I won't care about what Mike Ashley does for the rest of his life or mine once he leaves the club.
Yeah, he's done that, isn't he?
I won't care about Mike Ashley, anything Mike Ashley related, once he leaves this club and we hopefully have that consortium in charge. I don't care. Yeah. Because all I care about is what this new consortium are going to do for our club to make our club the club that we deserve it to be. The best fans in the country, arguably the best fans in the world. This is what I care about, and I know you feel the same, Chris.
Oh no, absolutely.
Great question, man.
What do you think on the another great question from Bede there?
When Shelby retains his fitness, do you think he will come in for Hayden or Longstaff? You know what? Before Saturday, I would have said yes. We've missed him. We've missed the fact that his ability on the ball keeps things ticking over. However, if Hayden maintains the way he played as a defensive midfielder, and Sean Longstaff maintains the way he played in midfield, and he was very good, deserved his goal, should have got 2, possibly even 3, because he missed 2 golden chances right on the edge of the box before he actually scored that goal.
It was weird, wasn't it? They were like mirror images, and I mean, as the Watford manager, he must have been going mental, because they got warned once, then they got warned twice, and then the third time, bang!
It was in, and they were all in quick succession.
Loads of time. Took the ball.
They're all in the first half.
Yeah.
They're all under 30 minutes because, well, I think they're probably in a 7 or 8 minute spell.
Yeah.
Because
same position, corner, same time.
He scored after 23 minutes. He'd had the 2 chances before. He scored in the 23rd. It was crazy. Like I don't get it. But however, I don't really care because we scored from it. But if those 2 players, because they're the only 2 players he's going to take out of the team. If those 2 players keep performing like that, he'll stay on the bench. He has to stay on the bench.
Do you think it's a coincidence, Pete, that, I mean, I'm not Hayden's biggest fan in the centre of midfield. I do prefer him in a 5 as a centre back. I don't think he offers enough in midfield. However, like you say, I thought he was fantastic. And if he allows Sean Longstaff the freedom to go forwards and do some of his dirty work, I'm all for it. Absolutely. But do you think there's any coincidence that as soon as we move to a 4-3-3 away from the 5-2-3 or the 5-3-2, do you think that change in formation has brought about the change in performance from the likes of Hayden and Longstaff? Because that's the best I've seen Sean Longstaff play in a long while. Like talking when he was getting linked to Man United. And if you think about it, Pete, how long have we been playing 5 at the back? A hell of a long time.
No, I think you made a great point. I think that Hayden and Sean Longstaff in particular, their attributes suit playing a 4-3-3. It suits their game. That their attributes are sort of you can get the best out of them playing that way, and you could see that the 3-5 or the 5-3-2 or whatever you want it to be, the old formation does suit John Joe Shelby. John Joe Shelby doesn't work in a 4-3-3 because he has to be more mobile. Those guys being more mobile, Hayden and Longstaff, allow the team to be more progressive. So it was very, very clear that it was kind of like 2 halves of a team. There was the back 4, there was Hayden, and then there was the rest that attacked.
Yeah.
So when they attacked. They didn't just attack with St. Maximin. They attacked with Joe Linton. They attacked with Almiron. They attacked with Willock. And what you found is that Almiron and Willock were willing to make runs beyond Alan St. Maximin, which was a danger to the opposition team because the opposition team weren't picking them up, which is why they were creating so many problems. Then you had, if the ball dropped out, so if they made those runs in and behind and the ball fell back, you had Sean Longstaff to pick the ball up, and that's where he got the ball in deep, and that's where he was able to take his shots. You had St. Maximin that was dropping off to the left. When he dropped off to the left, Joe Linton went to the right, and vice versa. So there was attacking players in all lots of positions. Whenever we were going forward, we weren't going forward with just 1 or 2 men. We were going forward with 3 or 4 guys going forward. We were looking like we were going to we wanted to score goals, and that's why we created probably more chances in that game on Saturday than we have in maybe 3 or 4 games together.
20 shots, wasn't it, Pete?
Something like that. But we're not just talking tame shots. We're talking shots where we made Ben Foster work.
Yeah.
So, there was a massive, massive improvement there.
Another quick one from Life Goals. Life Goals, lovely to hear from you, mate. Pete, how high a level did you play football at? I was at the Villa youth player up to under 14, Birmingham under 15, and then played in the Midlands for Sutton Coldfield and a 6-a-side at Perry Bar. And Life Goals says he would love to play alongside you one day.
Well, I retired in December from playing. I'm a manager of the Sunday League team. I'm actually doing a stint in goal at the moment, of all places, because our 2 keepers have injured. But I was very, very similar. Life Goals. I was a youth player at Sheffield United at a young age. Was fortunate enough to play with some good players. None of really that are any names that have made it, but I know certainly around the circuit of Leicester, because there was a few of us that got drafted through at the same time. And I loved every minute of it. The only reason why it didn't progress any further is that sort of financial reasons from my family. weren't able to continue to take me because we had to travel to Sheffield every week, and finances ruined that. I got offered it was a school of excellence, and then I got offered the opportunity to eventually get a scholarship at Sheffield United, and unfortunately I couldn't take it due to the sort of financial reasons, which is such a shame, really. And it's still kind of something I think about today when I look at Marcus Rashford and his story. He had exactly the same issue. Finances, mum couldn't take him, but the club sort of rallied around, and because he was in Manchester, he was a lot closer, and they looked after him. I was travelling from Leicester to Sheffield, so very, very difficult situation for me. But yeah, managed to play sort of semi-pro level for a short period, just in the sort of the Leicester and local leagues, and then yeah, just went into sort of management. I had a really bad injury at 26. I couldn't play for a year and a half. I had the stress fracture in my back, but they didn't diagnose it for about 8 months. What it actually was, couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't run any further than 10 yards without pulling up in agony, dropping to the floor in pain. They didn't spot it for about 8 months. So I didn't play for a year and a half, which was not good. So I had about altogether 3 or 4 years out of not playing, then went back in my early 30s and played just Sunday league, for a local team. But loved playing football. Football's been in my blood all my life. So yeah, that's me. That's my story.
Good, mate. Always good hearing about that, mate. We've also had a question here off Paul Kinston saying, "How did your team get on?" We've got to ask this every week, Pete.
I'm always happy to answer it when we win, but we got beat on Sunday. We got beat 4-1. It was a team right around us in the league because we're in the top 4, and I think they were 5th. Look, they weren't a good side. We had our 2 centre backs injured. One was rushed into A&E on Saturday and couldn't play. The other lad had injured himself midweek. There were 2 of our arguably our best players, but no excuses. We still had a team out that should have won. Didn't do well enough. Lost 4-1. Really, really poor performance. But hopefully we'll bounce back next week, and I'll be able to give you some more positive news.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. I mean, you've got to take the wins and the losses, haven't you?
Yeah, it is what it is. But just before we go to, I know we've got guys in the back. They're ready to come on.
Yeah.
We're going to go with a regular on the show, and I know he's had to transfer once or twice to get the right signal. But welcome to tonight, Kieran. How are you?
You're right, boys. How you doing?
Okay, mate.
You all right?
Thanks for holding on. I know you had to switch devices, but look, no problem. This is your time. Talk to us.
Yeah, no problem.
This week?
What I would say is, like, if you can't beat Watford, you had like 20 shots on goal and only score 1, you deserve to go down. And I think if you can't beat them, then who are they going to beat? It's as simple as that, isn't it? It's really worrying, isn't it? What I'm fed up with is a gap developing, isn't there? Like you say, like between 12th, 11th, and where we are, it's the same every year. And already we're coming in to October, and we're relying on other teams to win. It's just like I can't be asked for all that again. And I think the luck has completely run out. I think a few years ago we would have won that game, but it's just I think luck's gone now. And the only way it will change is if we get a new manager. But that doesn't look like it's going to happen, does it?
This is it, Kieran. We're kind of in limbo, aren't we, mate? And I feel like we say the same thing every week, don't we? But it is absolutely true that we're all waiting for the day that Ashley goes, and then obviously you would hope that Bruce will be following quickly out the door. But you're absolutely right. The stat that was brought up at the very start of the show: 7 wins since December, and obviously, as everyone says, the stats don't lie, do they? So it is worrying. But we just like I say, the only small positives I'm taking is the fact that we are seeing performances, and I would hope that brighter days are around the corner. I mean, you're quite right. When you look at the league table, you've got to be looking at the bottom 8 and 9, and they're where you're getting your points. I mean, you will get the odd shock draw against one of the top 6, or maybe the odd win, which we do famously do. But you can't rely on those points. The only ones you can rely on are beating the teams in and around you. With Watford, I was very disappointed, obviously, not to get the 3 points. It was fully deserved. We should have got the 3 points. But as I rightly say, you always take a point away from home. I don't know about you, Pete, but I always think a point away from home with your rivals, and unfortunately, Watford at this present moment are our rivals. I would always take a point away from home, and then when they come to St James's, you think, right, you've got to win those games. You've got to win your home games.
100%. Completely agree with you. Someone asked me before, what do I think is going to happen rather than what do I want to happen? I would always say to the point away from home, Vicarage Road. We don't travel well there. They're not a team where we tend to win at that ground. So therefore, I'll take the point and then move on. But through the way that game panned out, Watford would have been walking off thinking, flipping out, I'm glad we got a point in that. I know they had a goal chalked off and it was 2-1. But I tell you what, it wasn't a reflection of how the game was. Even when they equalised, we went back up the other end and we were still looking like we wanted the next goal. It wasn't like we just kind of reverted back. It gave them a bit of a lift. So they had 1 or 2 more attacks than normal. But actually, cheers, Mark. Always one for the comments, Mark. Always one for the comments. He's not wrong though.
No.
But yeah, you always got. You just don't want to lose against those teams. You just don't want to lose. But on the basis of the game, we should have won. We had to have won that game, and I'm still gutted now that we didn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's just worrying, isn't it? Like, we got it in an international break now, and it's just like, any other club would sack the manager, but we wouldn't. It's just, just keep it up. So.
You know what, Kieran? Yeah, you're absolutely right, because no other.
That's got to be comment of the night. I love that.
McCarthy with a classic.
I've had the same, by the way, Kieran. I got called for it. I didn't have me spotlights on, and everyone was saying I was there. Needed to put 50p in the lecky. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I know. I have this problem every week, don't I? I've got problems with my computer, so it's not working.
Don't you worry, mate. Don't you worry.
But just going back to your point about Ashley not sacking Bruce, I don't know whether I'm not saying this is the case, but I don't know what you guys think, and I don't know what the guys think in the chat as well. But I just can't help but think that the reason why he's not sacking Bruce is because he thinks that in the near future he doesn't need to.
Yeah,
something's going to change. Now, I don't want to put people's hopes up. I definitely don't want to put my hopes up. But I just can't help but think that that's a reason why he hasn't sacked. That he hasn't.
It's obvious. It's obvious. He's not going to sack him because he's expecting to get out. He's expecting to be out soon. Like I said, we had the conversation last week, but whether it's the Saudis or not, you just don't know, because you don't know what's going through Mike Ashley's head. You just have to wait and see. But I just don't believe he's like Eddie Howe. I mean, this guy on Twitter again, he's going on about Eddie Howe. It's just like, where are you getting your information from? Because it's just a load of nonsense. When when he's potentially going to sell the club, nobody's going to take the job. No one's going to work under Ashley. So, in my opinion, we're stuck with him until there's a takeover, aren't we?
Yeah,
absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree. I think Martin's made a good point. If we go another 5-6 games with no wins, I think we may see a change. And I think you would agree. As long as we continue to pick up points, and as long as other teams around us continue to drop points, like Leeds did at the weekend, and allow those to come out of the relegation zone, albeit on the same points, if we get another point again, or if we win at the weekend, and the likes of Burnley lose and we go above them, or maybe go up a few places, it's good. All it's going to do is reinforce the fact that Mike Ashley's not going to tell him. We have to go on a massive long run without winning a game, or even looking like winning a game, because at the moment it looks like Steve Bruce, Lee Charney, and Mike Ashley are trying to take any positives they possibly can out of any game in order to not justify having to get rid of him. So, do I think if he does get rid of him, someone like Eddie Howe will come in? For sure, I think he will. I don't think he'll go for Graham Jones. I don't even think Graham Jones will want to take the job as manager of the club. I think he'll want to be a coach. I think with Graham Jones, we've got more problems with actually keeping him at the club than actually is he going to be manager, because he's very sought after at the moment. And with links with Roberto Martinez going to Barcelona, potentially, is he going to take him with him? There's that I worry about more than is he going to be manager of the club. So I do think someone like Eddie Howe will come in, but we're going to have to go on a monstrous bad run for that to happen.
Do you know what? I think Yano makes a great point. Sorry, Kieran. I think Yano makes a great point there. And I've been saying this for the majority of the season. And like I say, I don't want to come across as, like all positive and whatever. But for me, I look at the fixtures that we've played, and I genuinely, I'm not that worried, because I look at Villa and I look at West Ham, and I'm sorry, lads, I don't look at that and think win. I just don't. I don't see it like that. If we've been playing the likes of Brighton, Palace, Burnley, Wolves, Watford, the teams that were starting to play or starting to come up, if we're still not getting the points there, yeah, I'm going to start panicking. But when we're not beating the likes of Villa and West Ham, for me, I think they're top 8, top 10 clubs, and I don't look at those fixtures and think, oh, great, we're going to win today. I just don't look at it like that. People may disagree with me, but I think if you look at their investment over the last few years, they're looking towards the top 8. We're looking towards the bottom 4, 5, 6. So I don't. When I look at our fixtures, I think, all right, yeah, you'd look at the Watford one and hope we get 3 points, but we were bloody close to getting those 3 points. We're looking at Wolves. If we go and get beat by Wolves at the weekend, yeah, I'll start getting a bit jittery. But I know I sound like I keep repeating myself, but I look at the games we've had, and I don't look at any and think that was a nailed on 3 points. We should have got 3 points from that game. Like in the middle of last season, Pete, when we were playing the likes of West Brom, weren't winning. Playing Sheffield United, weren't winning. That's when everyone started getting panicky, and that's when, people were starting to be on edge. And like I say, this season, that hasn't happened for me yet, because I'm not seeing those fixtures and thinking, oh, I should have won that. I don't see that. People may disagree with that, mate, but I don't look at it and think we should be beating them, because realistically, I don't think we should be beating them.
I think that, I'll be honest with you, I don't look at any team, and I throw even Norwich into this, who look god awful. They look like a
they do. They look they do.
They've gone.
And I don't look at any game and think a banker win. Win.
No.
I don't look at any game like that. But I understand why the fans look at the fact that we played West Ham, Villa, Southampton, Leeds, Watford, and are about to play Wolves, and we're still only on 3 points. That's where I look at those games, because we've only played Man United. We've got Tottenham to come, who we don't necessarily play well against. We've got Arsenal. We haven't played Chelsea yet. We haven't played City. We haven't played Liverpool, who we're guaranteed or close to guaranteed that we're not going to get anything from. So I think that's why the fans are frustrated, because if we'd have had a run of other games against those big clubs in between, I think there would be a little bit more understanding. But because our early run in the season actually hasn't been that bad.
No, you're right. It hasn't
been that bad. You're absolutely right. West Ham are in a completely different spot now than they were 2 years ago, when we were sort of picking up points against them. Villa were crap. We should have done better against them. They won't get an easier win all season. But Southampton haven't got a good record against us.
And we should have won it, shouldn't we? You're talking the last 10, 15 seconds, we should have won it. Albeit, I know we would have scraped the win. But, sorry, kid.
Sorry, I'm just saying, we'd be in such a better place, wouldn't we? If we just held on against the likes of Southampton and Watford, we'd be on, 7 points? And that's 4 points to what we are now. It's just like
this is what I'm talking about. Yeah. It's these fine margins and these games that I'm seeing. All right, we've not picked the points up, and I'm not delusional to say that we have, but I look at it and I just think, do you know what? It's not as bad as what people think. And I'm hoping I'm proved right. I want to be proved right, because I want to start seeing us getting those wins on the board. And if we don't, I'll join everyone else and start going, oh God, we're in big disarray. But I just think, if don't get me wrong, if we get to December and we've not picked up at least 10, 12 points, I'll start panicking. I will start panicking because I know in December we'd be lucky to get a point, if I'm honest. And if you're going into January on 12, 15 points, you're in big trouble because then in 2022, we're going to have to pick up a lot of points to stay in this division.
I agree. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
But, right, Chris, sorry, Kieran, absolute pleasure as always. Come and join us again. Feel free anytime on the Monday. Come and join us. Hopefully, fingers crossed before the international break, we'll have something to maybe shout about in a positive light.
Let's hope so.
Christ. But pleasure as always, Kieran. You take care.
Take care. And you.
Thank you again.
Nice one. See you in a bit.
See ya.
Take care, mate.
Brilliant to have Kieran on. Always good to have his viewpoint. And it's like a weekly episode now. We're getting his opinion on the sort of lowdown of performances of the club and where we're at. But I mean, there's so many opinions in the chat. The chat is absolutely on fire tonight.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Really, really good. Just quickly, we'll go for this one, Martin. Our biggest issue is nerves and defending when we need. Player concentration and marking, like the goal from Saar. Will it totally switched off? Saar ran past free header. You can't argue that. I think it's a great point. It's that they're the differences between winning and losing. It's that concentration. I'll be honest with you. Up until Watford scored, they never looked like scoring. They had a succession of corners. They had time where they had the ball and they were driving forward. We just defended everything comfortably. And I never thought for 1 second that when that corner was going in, that they would score it. It was just that switch off moment and bang. And that just gave them the lift. Their fans were as quiet as a mouse. Their team, their heads were down. They didn't think they were getting back into the game at all. And then all of a sudden, that one moment that just allowed them back into the game, it just changed it just changed them as a team. They looked like their confidence, grew from that, and we had to kind of go again. But really, really frustrating. But I just want to run through just one or two sponsors really quickly. So Spider VPN, the go-to for any of your internet problems. These guys have been supporting NUFC Matters for a long time now. So, these are the guys that you want to go to if you want your internet up and running. So Spider VPN, you know where to go. Skips and Bins, easy contract free, pay as you go, waste collection. Sir Bobby will always look after you, will always do the job, will always tell you how it is. That was what Sir Bobby was all about, and that's what Sir Bobby will give you. So www.skipsandbins.com, inquiries at skipsandbins.com, and the telephone number 0800 2545 253. QTech, John Justice Allen, the main man. I hope you're still getting well and you're well on the road to recovery. For all your pool tables and snooker tables inquiries, qtechshop.co.uk. So head to QTech and inquire with John Justice Allen. And of course, we've got the big one coming up in November, the NUFC Matters Christmas party at the Tyneside Irish Centre, 19th of November, starting at 7 p.m. I believe that there may still be tickets available, but if not, contact Steve Rafe and he'll be able to tell you for sure. But hopefully we'll be able to get up for that one, along with lots of the other Matters crew. Should be a fantastic one. And last but not least, if I can find it, I think he's got rid of it. I was going to give Loaded a plug there.
Loaded.
I tell you what, Loaded Mag. I don't need a picture. Loaded Mag. We're here. Okay. Thursdays, away day. Starts Thursday, along with Talking Wolves, Thursday from 7 p.m. Tune in. And Loaded Mag, always on a Friday, 8 p.m. Do not forget. Subscribe now. Subscribe as quickly as you can. We are on the race to 1K, and we will be there, hopefully, fingers crossed, very, very shortly. But
we've got Loaded live line tomorrow, Pete. first
yes,
episode?
we have. Loaded
Smart
Live Line, brand new show. Looking forward to seeing how it all transpires. As always, we don't plan these shows. We just turn up and see what happens, and it'll be another interesting show tomorrow night. So, Loaded Live Line, as Martin has said, get involved. It should be a good one. Right, moving on now. We have our next caller, a very special caller. We've had him on before. Looking forward to hearing what he's got to say tonight. Welcome to the stream, Mark Henderson. Good evening. How are you?
Hi guys. You all right?
Very good.
Good, mate.
Very
Are
good.
you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Good. Thanks. Thanks again for having us on. I want to talk about something different tonight. I want to talk about the show NUFC Matters, and obviously the man behind it, our own Steve Wraith. Now, I take my mind back and everybody else's minds back to COVID last year. The lockdown, the first lockdown period. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, it was the one thing I looked forward to every single night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it was going to be on for an hour, whether it was going to be on for 2 hours. I just looked forward to watching Steve's podcast. And, he had a variety of different people on, ex-players, and it's just, there's a lot of people who were struggling bad with the mental health issues. I've had my own over the years. And when you've got something at the end of the day, or towards the end of the day, where you're really looking forward to what's going to be on, it picks you up, it gives you a boost. And also for an hour or 2 hours, I meant I didn't have to talk to the wife as well, which I hope she's not watching. So that was always a good point as well, But Steve, up until this year, I never met the guy, and I saw him for the first time at the protest in London this year, and he's always just such a nice guy. He comes across as a nice guy on here. He's going to love all this, isn't he? Yeah. He comes across as a nice guy on here, but if you're lucky enough to meet the guy in person, he's just like, honestly, he's such a nice guy. I've competed at 2 of his events as well, and he's always happy to share a photograph with you. And what he has done for me and with this program, I mean, watching you guys have taken over the 5-minute rant. I've been on a few times myself, and honestly, it gives me a boost. And I've talked to many people who watch the show as well, 7 nights a week, and it's given everybody such a big lift. I mean, we don't want to mention the teamwork for takeover, but when things had gone pear-shaped last year, again, Steve, with all the people he had on and the different events he was putting on for people, it was I just want to say thank you to Steve, because he doesn't expect praise. I know, like I say, I've met him a couple of times, and he's such a down to earth lad. But I just want to say thank you, Steve, because you've given me something to look forward to every night of the week, and I know you've given the same to many other people, And like I said before, for an hour, 2 hours a night, you don't have to talk to the wife or the girlfriend or whatever, So yeah, lads, I know you. I mean, he's done wonders for you too as well, for Holly, for everybody else. Do you know what I mean? And he gets a lot of stick, which we know is totally. Well, that's why I've got no hair, because it just makes you tear your hair out. I don't know why a guy who has done so much for everybody's mental health, and for the show that he puts on for everybody else as well, 7 days a week. And, I think the people who matter, the genuine people who watch the program, they really appreciate everything that Steve does, like you guys do, and like I do, and Holly Blades. I mean, he's doing wonders for her confidence, her self-esteem, and everybody else. You know, he's just such a nice guy. And again, I just want to say a huge thank you, Steve.
Yeah, no, I think I'm sure people agree with me, but I absolutely agree with you, Mark. I mean, during lockdown, I joined the show. I think it was right at the start of lockdown, and for me to personally be involved in the shows was fantastic, and it was something I look forward to. But even when I couldn't be on the shows, I was always in the chat or I was watching later on in the evening. It was that little time just for me to just kind of take myself out of normal everyday life and just focus on the club I love. Talking and listening to like-minded Newcastle fans. Like I've just put a comment in the chat there, just saying that it's great everyone coming on, and I really enjoy doing these shows. And like when I'm unavailable or I can't make them, I'm always gutted, and I end up missing Pete, I end up missing Martin, Daz, Steve, Richie. When I can't. When I can't be involved or I'm busy or I've got other things going on, I really miss it. And I've said this, on record. I've said it many times. I've always been really thankful to Steve for what he did in allowing me to come on his shows, saying my opinions, and more than anything, because I'm from Liverpool, I don't get to speak to Newcastle fans. I just don't have that. But now I've got my own little family, albeit it's online. But when I get to the away games, it's just great because it makes me feel like I'm really in there. And I'm sure, Pete, you probably feel the same, mate. Being in Leicester.
Yeah, 100%. Look, it's very simple. I won't be on here right now talking to like-minded Newcastle fans in yourselves, Chris, Mark, and all the other guys in the chat, if it wasn't for Steve. Steve gave us an opportunity, and that's what I think people forget, is that if you look at across a lot of other channels, a lot of other Newcastle content, the amount of opportunities that Steve is given to people, not just in Newcastle, but across the country and across different parts of the world, to come onto his show and be a part of it, whether it's Matchday Live, whether it's the Fab Four, whether it's any other type of show that he's put together. We had the worldwide show for a short period. He has given opportunities for people all over to be a part of it, and not just that, but a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds, religions, and faiths, and ethnicities, and I like that. I like that, and Steve's always been good to me, and I know Chris feels exactly the same. He's always been good to me. He's had my back on more than one occasion, and but I owe him for that, and I respect him for backing me. So I back him. It's as simple as that. And I know Chris feels exactly the same. It's just great to be a part of things. It's just great to be a part of these guys on the chat who are fantastic. Some great views. The likes of yourself, Mark, being on the show, and the fact that I've been able to meet Chris and chat football with Newcastle with Chris is great, because like Chris has said, I'm from Leicester. A lot of my mates who I grew up with are either sort of Man United fans, Leicester fans, or Liverpool fans. They when I want to talk to them about Newcastle in the depth that we talk about on the shows and just on social media, they're not interested. They don't know.
You can't.
You just can't. And football fans are like that. You get very rarely football fans that want to talk about other clubs in that sort of depth. So it's giving me an opportunity to talk about the club that we love with other like-minded Newcastle fans that are just as passionate as me, that care just as much about the club, that want the best for the club just as much as I do. And it's fantastic. I love it. And that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to argue with people. I'm not here to get on people's backs. I'm not here to have a go at anyone for their opinions. We respect everybody's opinion. We realize that people haven't got the same opinions as us, and that's okay. That's what makes us unique, and that's what makes us be able to have a decent conversation about the club, because we don't always agree with things. So it just makes everything in the experience about supporting Newcastle just that little bit better when things on the pitch sometimes are shit.
Sometimes.
I'm being kind here.
Pete.
A lot of the time, when things are going down with how the club's being ran, or when things are shit on the pitch, it's a great therapy for us to just do a show like the Rant tonight, where we can just talk about things, get things off our chest, and just feel a little bit better that we've done that. So I think, you know, what you've done tonight in terms of recognising Steve, I think is absolutely spot on, and definitely well deserved.
Yeah, I mean, credit to you two guys as well. I mean, since you've taken over the 5 Minute Rant show, you two guys, it's the step up's just been just so smooth. You know, you two guys again, he's are great lads. I've met Chris down in London, had a bit of a chat with him, and but again, you can just tell you guys are genuine Newcastle United supporters who love the football club, and you know, again, he's grateful to Steve for everything he's done for you guys as well. You
Do you know
know,
what, Mark? Genuinely, mate. Like, I hope it comes across, you know, that we are genuine. Like, I will
definitely,
behave exactly the same way as I do on here
yeah,
as I would to someone in the street. Do you know what I mean? There's no
yeah,
hidden agendas. We're not here to, you know, slag other people off or try and
yeah,
gain advantage on others. We're all talking about Newcastle United because we all love
yeah,
Newcastle United, and I don't care who you sat next to in the stadium. As soon as we score that goal, everyone's hugging, everyone's loving
yeah,
it, you know, and that's what it's all about. It's a
yeah.
Newcastle family, and we all love being a part of that family, and that's why we really appreciate coming on here and talking about the thing we love, and having everyone in the chat, you know, coming up with these comments. Like, I've just been laughing my head off there at some of these comments. They're absolutely fantastic. Like, honestly, I just
Oh,
love doing this. It's great.
yeah, it is. Yeah. If I could just give a quick shout out to Steve Hasty as well. I know he's not been well, you know, so just get well soon, Steve. I met him a couple of times, you know, so yeah, definitely. And lads, again, fantastic show, you know. I never miss you guys, so you know, just keep up the good work.
Oh, thanks very much, Mark.
No problem. Appreciate that. We'll do our best. We will do our best.
Right, guys. Thanks again for having us on.
Take care, mate.
Take care,
Take care now.
All
See
the
you
best.
guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Love it.
What a nice call. What a nice call.
Really, really, you know, really good way to sort of like wind down and show that. He definitely deserves one of these. He definitely hit the back of the net with that one.
Do you know what? I don't know how Steve would feel about this, but there's been a lot of zebra talk in the chat. I don't know whether Steve maybe wants a bit of a dancing zebra on here. I don't know. I don't know, Pete. I don't know.
No zebras. No zebras. I can't be doing with it. Yeah, I know he's not impressed with it. He's already said it in the chat. No zebras, right?
No, Yano wants the zebras. Yano said he's going to unsubscribe from loads. He wants the zebra.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I know he's not happy, but I don't want the zebras. The zebras only come in when the takeover goes.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, you are right. You are right.
I can't do it. It just fills me with so many bad memories. It makes me think about that champagne that's still in the cupboard that we had on ice for a week or so when we were getting excited, and then it fell apart. And I don't want to go through that again.
No, I know.
I apologize for anyone out there that wants the zebras, but not right now. I don't.
It'd be worth the wait. It'd be worth the wait.
Yeah, 100%.
Worth the wait.
But Palace are beating Brighton 1-0.
Yeah, Palace just gone in half time there.
Just want to go to our London boy Seb. Last season we beat Leicester and Everton away. How are we going to make up those points? If we don't beat Wolves, we have Chelsea, Palace, Spurs next. Could be 10 games without a win. It's a great point, and you know it's a point I made sort of with Alex Hurst on the True Faith the other day. I said, you know, if we don't beat the teams around us, what we then have to do is do the unthinkable, is go to a team like Chelsea or Spurs and pick up points against them. We have to go to those teams in order to make the points up. So it's a really difficult predicament that we're in. You know, can we go to Goodison Park again and pull off a win like we did last season with a Rafa Benitez team that seemed sort of very hard to break down at the moment? You know, can we do that? It's a really tricky situation. So I think it's a really good point. But what do you think about that, Chris?
Can we? Yes. Will we? That's another question, isn't it? I mean, this is where I was talking about, you know, in terms of the positivity. Like, you know, the performances that we've seen, Pete, there's no reason why we can't. We put in a pretty good performance at Old Trafford. We've done it again at Vicarage Road.
Yeah.
As I say, I'm seeing glimmers of hope, but we could play Wolves at the weekend and be absolutely shocking. And this is the problem with Newcastle United, isn't it? We're so inconsistent, and we're very unbalanced in terms of not just the management, but also the playing staff, the owner. So it's always a drama, isn't it? There's always a circus when it comes to Newcastle United, and this is the issue. And the trouble is, you can't, like you rightly said, you can't go into a game and go, we're getting 3 points today. We'll certainly feel more confident of certain games and go, yeah, all right, we've got a good chance of winning today. But you never go in a game thinking, oh, we're gonna win today. And this is, I think we were talking about this, weren't we, Pete, when we were talking about Man City? Or maybe I was talking to somebody else about it and saying it must be strange going. I can't remember the last time I walked into a stadium, whether it be St. James's or an away stadium. I'm thinking, yeah, we're going to clean up today. We're going to win. I genuinely can't remember that. And for like Man City fans, they must turn up every home game and think, I wonder what the score's going to be today. It'll be 3, 4, 5, 6.
You know what?
Don't have that.
You know what? The last time I genuinely thought about that is back, when I used to have a season ticket, so 03, 04. Me and my brother used to travel up every week to St. James's, and obviously being younger and not working all the rest of it was a lot easier to do that. But we used to go up thinking that. We used to be up on it. We used to talk about it on the train on the way up. How many we're going to score today? Who's going to score? Yeah, Shearer's going to bag. It's better than the bag. Robert will one today.
Yeah.
I think Dyer's going to nick a goal today.
8-0 every game.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Maybe Gary Speed. I think Gary Speed's going to score from a corner today. Like, when did we ever think like that? Like me and my mate Lowell, we travelled down to the game to Watford on Saturday, and the talk was all the way down was not how many we're going to score or are we going to win, but I just want a goal. I just want to celebrate.
Yeah,
just give us a goal.
I think a bit of hope. A bit of hope.
At Old Trafford.
We're all desperate for hope, Pete. That's all we want as a fan base. That's all we want. And it is quite sad when you think of it, isn't it? Oh, I'd love to score today. Wouldn't it be great if we scored today? You just want that little bit of that you can, like I say, if you could bottle that feeling. It's just, there's nothing like it, is there? You can't compare it to anything else. As when we score, even when I'm in my living room, I'm like a maniac. Like when we score, because I think, oh my God, we're gonna do it, and then slowly it just goes like that, and you're like, oh.
There's no better feeling, mate. Honestly, if anyone's not a patron of True Faith, plug in another show here. If anyone's not a patron of True Faith, become a patron. Watch my match or listen to my match day special. It's got live footage of all the major talking points and reactions of the game. If you get the opportunity, just listen to my celebration. And I forgot. I forget that I'm recording the game, and I swear to you, my reaction is crazy. I was listening to it in the car on the way to work, and my wife's in the side, just looking at me like,
just going, what?
She literally, I'm laughing my head off, and I look at her, and she's just shaking her head like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah,
they don't get it. She doesn't get it.
Nah,
there's no better feeling than when that ball hits the back of the net.
Even the dirtiest, sweatiest goal, you don't even care. You're still going bananas. Don't even. And then Sean Longstaff going to Pinga like that. Oh.
Yeah. It was
Mate, you must have gone bananas in that away end. You must have went mental.
I wasn't even screaming. I think there was a squeal in there at some point. I was going mad, absolutely mad. And you know what was even funny about it was the guy I didn't know him beforehand, but the guy next to me, he'd just gone to the toilet and he missed everything. He missed the goal.
Oh no!
And he was absolutely distraught afterwards. So funny. But great day. But yeah,
isn't it funny though, Pete? When you're at a game, I was saying this to the wife. I was talking about, like when I went to Old Trafford and that. And isn't it funny how during the game, 9 times out of 10 you stood next to someone you don't know, and then you start talking about the match and you go, oh bloody hell, you should have tracked back, or why didn't he throw his foot in there? And then you might have to exchange the odd couple of words, or you go, oh I know, yeah, it's terrible that, isn't it? And then literally a goal goes in and you're just on top of each other and you're going, yes, and you're just in love with each other. And then as soon as it's over, it's like, right, okay, back to the game. And you don't even 9 times out of 10 you don't even say bye to them. You're not even I'll see you in a bit, mate. You just get off. Yeah, it's just that feeling. Mate.
I swear,
It's funny.
it's one of the most strangest situations for someone outside that didn't like or care about football. Just watching that moment of you going absolutely crazy with someone that you've never met before, and then all of a sudden just disappearing and never speaking to that person again. It's one of the most strangest. It must be one of the most strangest situations.
Yeah.
To just view. Yeah,
but you don't see it at the golf, do you? You know, like if say you want to golf for someone or something, and he gets like a hole in one or something, you don't turn to someone and go, yes. You just don't do that, do you? You just go, oh, great shot, that. Yeah, it was good, that, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's not the same. But
No.
quick one from Keith Roll.
Yeah.
When do you celebrate louder? When England score in a major tournament? Come on.
It's not even a question, that, Keith. Well, maybe not for me anyway. I know you're a big England fan, aren't you, people, mate? That's not even a question.
You should know better than that. He should know better than that. There is only one. There's only one goal that's scored that feels proper, and that's when a Newcastle player scores. It doesn't matter whether it's in the Championship. It doesn't matter whether it's a consolation. It doesn't matter whether it's a goal that makes it 5-0 in our dreams. It means everything when that ball hits the net in a black and white shirt. When England scored, you know, to get us to a major final, it was a great feeling, and we did go mad. But it doesn't quite feel the same. I don't think anything would than a sort of a Newcastle goal going in. Very, very simple. But I think you had one here, the last one here. Is it?
Les now got 49 goals. Beardsley, Lee Aspect. Oh my God! All around 8 goals was an absolute delight. Where the side played champagne football, killed within weeks back. Yeah. Absolutely, life goals. I
agree. Right. I think we're about there, mate. I think we're about there. What is it? Ryder Cup? Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe you're right, Keith. Maybe you're right. I mean, I can't say I've been to the golf because I haven't. But I just can't imagine someone doing that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, get it in the chat for next week. Tell me I'm wrong.
The biggest reactions I've seen is when Tiger Woods won a major, when he won his major the other year. Yeah. When he came back and won his major, the reaction of the fans at that event, I think that was the biggest golf reaction I've heard. And you know, I do tend to watch the golf here and there, and I don't tend to see the type of reactions that a football stadium or an away fans will give you. But I would say that one was pretty big. One when Tiger won his major. I think Dave is absolutely right. Shattered from the weekend. Great show as ever. Thank you very much, Dave.
Cheers, Dave.
At that point, I think we'll leave it there, Chris. It's been a fantastic show. Really, really enjoyed it. As always, it's always a pleasure to share the stage with you, mate, and listen to your views on Newcastle. But massive thanks to all the guests that have come on tonight, especially Mark, with his loving, his rant loving. I think we need to make that a regular for sure. But great show as ever. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you to all the guests. Thank you to Chris. And we will be back for more next week. So everybody take care, have a good week, and pray for 3 points on Saturday.
Hope so.
See you later.
See you later.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again.